everything lined up because I'm recording these, so it just takes me a second sometimes.
No problem.
Okay, here we go. Okay, let me move this down here like that. Everything's so going out straight and normal. Okay, so let's read the blurb at the top. The intro.
Yeah.
He says, Yisboyer shaha or bebenimius ak, who or echad v'sivus is chalkusa. Why is it different? What does that mean? Kafi habachinus k'shayotza l'chutz. Those aspects when it's going out. Let's switch over to the light print on page Kaf Ches and see how the Tiv HaKavanos works this. Maybe there's something I'm missing, or I am missing. Oh, that's what I'm missing here. So, I'll start again at Kaf Bet. So Kaf Bet says da, or gam da. Also, you have to know this. Ki oz or hayotze betoch Adam Kadmon, then the light that's coming out of Adam Kadmon. Getting a little bit messier. Hazer hine kulu or echad, because it's the wrapping on the line of the Ein Sof. Raki al yetechi hisracha kusa v'yiridosach of the matas are going down. Who misava ibui achar ibui. So he said the Tiv writes, Kavarn is boyer shachakar kafta the ak, the very top of the ak, who shem ab the klalo. So he reviews. V'achar kach mina ozem of the mata maskil, the name which is called sag, and these are really what multiplications of the name yudke vavke, or called miloyim. V'yotzach mina ozem b'chinas taamim alyonim, from the ears comes out this what's called taamim alyonim, and mina hoitim yotzem b'chinas taamim emseim, o mina peh yotzem b'chinas taamim tachtonim. Then there are other things that get revealed. The kufishi is bar v'hemshach, and we will go into that as we go on. So he says, Amnam l'chayra hoyamakan alutos v'lomer ki ha'or ha'nimshach mina ein sof v'yotzim mina ak hu kama mini oros. There's many different kinds of lights, which we will call avsagma uben, which is called asmab, otanta, another different way to describe it. The zos b'vara rav ki hama'atzel hemshech la'ak rak or echad pashut v'kol hashinu v'his chalfuso. What's the difference then? Shal hamadregas v'ha'oros taloi b'midas harichok v'hakirov shal hamakablim el hamakor shuhu chut or ein sof. How close are they? As we know that the Ein Sof enters into the Kav enters into the hollow, and that place is going to be the highest level. So then as you start going down away from that place, that's what we've learned before. Number Kaf Gimel, he says, Ketzad ha'or ha'yotzech min ha'ozen hu zak ma'od. B'kasher ha'nimshach ha'or ha'zech b'binimius adam kadmon ad higir el ha'choitim v'yotzeh ketzatz derech sham. Some of it comes out from there. Hine av alpi shehu or echad shava, even though the light itself is the same. Im kol zecher memakbas harichuk shenisrachek v'nimshach yosef the mata misave yosef b'tzeitza misham. And we gave a reason before it before. So he says ketza mischalak madregos hakarkafta the akshuhu karov l'rosh chut ein sof or gadol v'hu nikra av. The it's further down the line, or it's a distance from the entrance into the hollow. Merosh chut ein sof, hu bebechinas sag. V'sham nizgala or godol v'zak. There's a tremendously powerful, very refined light. Meaning, I think, but to me, it means almost transparent, not there. Because the ear is close to the top of the head. Then it goes down further, the place that's further down. And he said, to the place of the Hotim of Ak. V'sham hu or Yosim b'moed, there the light is already less. Why? The fishiness rakek merosh hachot. It's a distance from, it's gone a further distance. Boven shachafila b'benimius ak atzbach kavar yesh shin hoy machmas richuk haor merosh chut Ein Sof. He says, let me just read this again. He says, Ba'ofen shafilu b'pnimius ak, inside of ak. We're talking about Adam Kadmon. He says that there's a difference in the way that the light is. V'afal pi shahor ein sof yared b'shavim min ma'atzel. So it's the same light. It's the light of the ma'atzel. Lo shum his chalkul shal bechinos. Im kol zecha v'yesh chida b'bedrega b'his galus or. But when the light is revealed, there's going to be differences. V'machmas richuko m'makom yitziyasav v'nisav yoser, and it becomes thicker. V'chein al derek zecha b'his pashtusa yoser the mata, as it goes down further. Had the peh v'yotze ketzatz derek sham misav yoser the light. Machmas richuko his rachuko m'makom ha'elyon. But not because there's a difference in the quality of the light. It really has to do with the perception from what's outside of it, so to speak. It's just that the perception would be that it was less. So you see, or shel hamochim nikra av. So here's an introduction of the new word. The light of the mochin is called av, and then the light, he said, the mochin are called av, and the or is called sag. The dai bezeh. I'm not going to talk about that anymore, but let's see what the Teves says about that. So v'kasha chut or ein sof ein sof. I think it shouldn't be vav. Let's see if that doesn't, maybe a misprint. So that it yored mispash b'benimius ak l'matach min ha'chotim. It's going to come out of the mouth. So the light is already more or less lessened. Because ak itself at that point is that part of ak is further away from that makor. Who osa ha'or shenisgala lamata etzel ha'oizen, but it's that light. Who osa ha'or that's revealed by the ear. Rak shali yosa misrakim b'mekoro who misavet. But that's what he means to say. It is the same light, but it has a thicker quality to it. But it's not because there's a shinui in the light itself. That aspect, which he said was av. Shuhu korov yoser alamakor v'chadayim lo nisave, hu nikra shem av. Ve'eloho or chazecha she'anu oskim bo. So this light that we're dealing with now, sheyored imizgala min ha'aznayd lamata, shuhu lamata min ha'mochin, which is below this level of the mochin, hu rakok yoser min ha'makor, v'yesh b'ch his avos, v'lefichoch he's going to have a slightly different name. Now, I'm just thinking for myself, what's the difference between these two names? The two names. One is 72, and then you take away, you change one of the yuds to an aleph. And as a result of that, right, he's telling us that makes it thicker. Now, I don't know how, I don't really understand, but he says it's a fact. So now you have two different bechinos, and the way that they're spelled, or that the letters that compose them, that's really what it is, slightly different. But the light itself, the nature of the light itself, is the same. They're not separate lights. Another idea of what he actually means by that. Okay, let me pull this back a little bit. I'm losing the page of my video. Okay, now we're going to come to something completely different. And as you start reading this and you're understanding it, that what we're getting to is a kind of a story. This is the story of creation. And so now we're going to come to a new place. It's called the Shara Kudim. So he says, this is the first parak, he says, he's boyer bechinas taamim tachtonim. Now we mentioned that there were the lights that came out of the ears, or the light on the top of the head, and the light came out of the ears, light came out of the nose. Now we're going further down. This is going to refer to the taamim tachtonim, is chibur oros hamekibim b'benimis, and we're going to talk about the joining together now, because before we said that the light that comes out of the ears and out of the nose does not join. And he's going to explain that's because that the kli that would be produced by that would not be able to handle the amount of light that's there, it would break. So therefore, we're getting a little picture of how things are going to develop. He says, Chibur orvis hamaki v'benimi, this cause of a tam lama nischavro rakan. Why is it that only here is where we see the hischavros. So let's see what we got. Let me. I guess we're reading from Aleph here. I think we are. Is that where we're? No, there's Akdama. Oh, there's Akdama.
Oh, there's Akdama, yeah.
Okay. Ad kan is bar b'divrei Rav b'chinas taamim ha'yonim shehem ha'chelok ha'elyon shebechinas av desag. That's what it is. Av desag. That's the ears. Hayotzim min ma'oz and ak. V'gam b'chinas taamim emseim desag shehu ha'chelok emseoi shebechinas av desag. Shehem oras hayotze mechotin da'ak. Beperek zeh. Mevarach harav taamim tachtonim. Now we're going to get into the lower level. Shehu chelok tachton shel bechinas av sag. Of the sag. V'hem ha'oras hayotzechem min the peh. This is lights that come out of the mouth. Hamispashtim ad the tibur the ak that go down all the way to the tibur of ak. V'nikra hakudim b'lashon keshira k'moshen emer kudim b'lashon keshira. V'yakod as Yitzchak beno. Do you see that from there? Shul lashon keshira. Kevin shaba'oros elo, because now when we're coming together, they're coming together. Kevin shaba'oros elo nischavu kli echad. They're going to make a kli, one kli. Echad hamuchulad the eses spheros, which is going to be divided into 10 parts, which we're calling spheros here. They're all tied together inside of one kli. So now we'll start. So we're going to discuss. We have that intro, and it says what's going to go on over here. I think we read this before. I'll read it again, though. No, maybe I didn't. So if it came to there and going outwards. But now the lights are going to make a chibur. Because now they're going through only one channel. So he says, now we see, if we were able to look at it, inside of the mouth of ak taamim tachtonim, the lower taamim shetachas osius, which are below the letters. And these lights, they go down into the navel, to the level of the tibur of ak, which is further down than the chest. They didn't have kalim. It's just a bright, tremendously bright, whatever the nature of this light is, it's very powerful. One, the fish heim oros gevohim, because they're such a high level. Now lama, and as a result of that, they're almost completely non-existent. They're totally hidden. And they're not divided in any way into 10. Because of that, wouldn't have a kli. It's not possible to hold that light. Or of, which is its nature would be an or of and gas. So it's a number base. This is the second reason. Now we mentioned that before. We talked about this, where it didn't happen by the oz and it didn't happen by the nose, but here they do. Over there we saw they came in the right left ears. Yotze benek of yamin and benek of small v'yesh doifin mapsik benehem. So they're not together. V'chein lo ne'asach b'kelim came shal oros lo hoya misba b'vachim zebazeh. Ava b'oros hapeh. This hava b'chinas kelim. Machber shtei sivos. There's two reasons. Ha'achas hi shal oros and b'kifin shiviyamin apechem b'benimim sheb'smol apeh. Let's look at the mouth and say there's a right side, left side. Yotzim yachda, but they're all together there. If they go out, and that is, as they leave the mouth, they're going to go out together. It's not going out into two places. As a result of that, so that's what's going on over here. So he's talking about,
they leave through the same opening, they turn into a kli.
They hit each other. They're not separated. They're all in the same place. They're coming out and they're striking each other. Just like, random. It's not, nothing's random, but it is as if they're all out in space and banging around. V'atam ki kol masha ha'oras misrachim mispashtim lamata, as the principle is, as they spread downwards, kach yesh yicholas l'chasiga v'lekablam, then it's possible to be able, for something which is lower, in other words, that's looking for that light, let's say, so to speak, to be able to receive them, perceive them, and receive them. So let's see what he meant when he says that it can be perceived like that. Hatam hasheni lama rak ma'oras hapeh v'lamata nishavu kelim hu mishum shebekol ha'oras yotzer korov al rosh hachud ein sof kain hu ne'elam yoser, so then it's going to be more like nothing. V'hi after lasigo. Ukakol shaha'or misrachek merosh hachud, so as long as it's the more distance it is, mis'avach ha'or after l'chasigo yoser, and the light becomes thicker and it's possible to perceive it more. V'lechein ha'oras ha'ozim v'chachotim shehein oras gevochim shehi after l'sigim ein bechem bebechilas kelim. Shachar bekol l'tam shena'asa kli hu b'kedei shaha'or yuchol, should be able to, lihislavish b'socho, by Yedei Kain Yichya after L'Chasigo. That's a principle now. If a Kli makes it possible for it to be reached, be received. But they don't have a Kli, and there's no medium by which you could reach them. Ein Sork Shetihya, Shetihya Kli, so that they don't need a Kli. They're never intended in this sense to be used as a Kli. This is already something more physical. Akim calls Zechabadayim lo choyosora kelim, but still there's not 10 different kelim, pratim. Al kli echad kola l'kolasara oras, but one kli you're going to have in this piece that we're talking about now is going to be one kli. Number Gimel. V'hine kevin shegavarnis chavrach of oras v'makifa b'benimim yachad, since they're already together, l'chein hiskil kan hishavas b'chinas kelim. Al the shehem zachim b'tachlis aziko commotion is boyer b'sof sharagulim. Kevin shal oras ha'makifa v'oras ha'benimim yotza menekev echad shuchapeh, l'chein hischilo l'hischavos kan b'chinas kelim. The Daptek Rav Khan Lomer Bechinas Kalim Daika, but he wants to say plural. There's something aspect of plural. Velo Kalim Mamish, but he means aspect of Kalim. So we're saying that we understand it's the nature of Kalim. They're going to be thick like a pot or something like that. But let's not try to say that there's something really physical about them. They're ultimately completely refined. They're almost completely transparent. It's only that in relationship to what's up above them. This is the beginning of the idea of relativity that you see a lot. After the Kenosachim Oros, you can now call them Oros Avim Vegasim because it's in relationship to what came before it. Sharav Bir Lamala, he said Sof Sharagulim, Inyan Hakelim. So he talked about that period previously. Now we have one more to do here, then we're going to get into another little blurb at the top. So number Dalet is the Fichoch Adaim Lo Nisgalo Kan Rak Bechinas Kli Echad Bilvat, Avala Oros Koya Nechlokin Lo Sarah. Now the nature of the lights, and we're going to be discussing that, but they're called akudim. So harav mevayer lukaman, lama, nekroim oros hapeh oros akudim. So why are they called by this name? So he's Suchav, and he writes like this: Afal pi shakan bepeh. Now, even though that now in the mouth. Nisgalim gamadal shal hahei yoser minachotem. So now we're going to see that in the mouth. Before that, we said in the chotem, rather. I'm sorry. In the Chotem, we said that there is a Dalet there, but you couldn't see it. So all you could see was the Vav part. We took the Hey and we divided into the Dalet and a Vav. Over in the nose, you could see the Vav. But the Dalet is going to appear in the mouth. So let me read it again. Because of Sha'afal Pi Shekan Bepen is Galo Gam Madalo. Now you can see the Dalet Shecha Hey. Yoser Min HaChotem Shalon is Galo Sham Rak Vav Shalahei. V'nimsa Shekan Bepen is Galo Eser Spheros Nifrados. Here, though, you're going to see a concept of 10 separate spheros. Mikol makom lo nislav shora b'sara kelim, but there's only one kli. Ela b'kli echad bilvad. V'lashon nekudim kan so mivor kan rav l'chalon. He's going to explain what pshat nekudim. So now let's look at any questions about this, Rabbi?
I had one question. What was it?
Next time, stop me as soon as you have a question, and because I can ramble on. That's just the way it is.
Okay. So the question was that about the HaChotem. So he says that the Metzias of the is Gvayim Sheyesh Ala Sigam. So therefore, in Bam Chenas Kelim. I guess my question is, like, because they're Yesh Ala Sigam, that's what causes them. Meaning, it's almost like as if it would be impossible for them to have Bechenas Kelim because they're so Gavaya.
Right, which means yes. So they have no gasos about them. He's kind of said that. They have no gasos.
It's almost like a circular thing because they're so Gavaya, so therefore you can't understand them. So therefore, there's no kli to understand them anyway.
Well, that's a very interesting idea. But what you said was, he said that you need a kli in order to be able to reach them.
Right.
So apparently that if you, and what does he mean by reach them anyway? What does that mean?
I don't know.
So I use the word perceive them.
Right.
So actually what their essence is, so wants to say like this. So everything is relative. So relative to the mouth, it's possible that we could understand something about it. He's going to start telling us more about what's going on in the mouth. But you see, he doesn't have much to say about what's going on in the ears, just about the letter Hey, or the nose, which is the revelation of the letter Vav. And right. Everything else is unrecognized. To me, it's like I think the way that they say it, like in the Idras, is everything is a one white page, like one white blank page. And then at the ear level, you could see a Hey there, like a black Hey, or one that's perceptible. And the same in the nose, already you could see the Vav part of the Hey. And then coming into the mouth, though, then there's something more that we could talk about because it's going to get thicker, and as a result of that, they're going to be kalim. And then he says that we could reach the kalim that way, in perceptive. Right. So there's something inside of the kalim that we could talk about. So let's do number Hey. Birakasa v'kudim nekudim berudim. That's very up at the top. So there's a pasuk we know that is akudim nekudim berudim, and we're going to be going through those ideas. Call a loven osa l'cha. So here's this word white again. L'cha al derek hasod, through the sod. We have to understand what whiteness is. I don't know if what he's going to say about this. I haven't looked ahead yet. Let's read number Hey. Upirisha inyanu. Now let's explain this. Yedecha kesiv ve'esa einai ve'era b'cholon v'hinecha hatudim ha'olim ha'latzon. Akudim nekudim beberudim. Now this whole thing is, we're going to see some of it. V'gam ksiv says the chiburi as kol ashech lovan osaloch. The pasuk zechav ramos kol b'chinas ha'elu she'ana medavrim kan. This is to talk about everything we're talking about here. Ki lovan hu sod halavon ha'elyon is this upper whiteness. Ashech b'chu kodim kol l'chatzilus it says. So when I said that metaphor, I mean, I guess I read it before, so I know what he's talking about. He wants to say that the absence of color, the color is a thickness already, or lines are a thickness already. Because in the Ein Sof, there's nothing, no color, no line, nothing. And so, white. Or we could call it's not white, but we could say that it's have you ever heard of the concept of the Gestalt? It's because I studied psychology, and so that this is what there was a man named Adler who had it was a psychiatrist who had this theory called Gestalt. It depends on when the people are having problems or what they focus on, and the focus is what's in the background and what's in the front. In other words, so are you paying attention to the front or are you paying attention to the background? Because meaning that everything has a context. Well, the context here is whiteness. We're using that as a word called context. It's whiteness, which has no blemish in it, and it has nothing but, say, goodness about it. It's just, that's from our point of view. That's what he's saying. He said, "Bekodem atzilos hazeh, v'hu choya osa kol eilecha b'bechidish shehem akuda nekuda b'berulim." So that development that's going to come out of this whiteness, the tzorach atzilos she'atzlo she'atzlo achareichem, that ultimately there is going to be something called atzilus. And in our prayers and in our learning, we can actually have kavanah to attach ourselves to that. Okay, so it says, Bekisve Arizal, in the Kisve Arizal, it says like this, "This boyer ki lovan hu kinoi la'adam kadmon, shuhu ha'lovan ha'elyon she'ein bacha b'bechinas din v'kula rachamim. B'pasa zecha shenizkar bo inyan nekudin b'verudim, nizbar heich nizgala ham'atza la'elyon es Yaakov, El Yaakov, Hamachuna Olam Atzilus, who's also called, and I don't necessarily know that I know this, he's also called, Yaakov is also called Atzilus. Behind the Shekodim She'atzel Olam Atzilus, that before it came about, Olam called Atzilus, Hotzil Lovam, Shuhu Ak, Mitocho, Shlosh Bechinos. So Ak, which he says is this whiteness, he says it has three bechinos. So you could see that makes me feel a little bit better, where he says that Ak is the whiteness. So what the whiteness is covering, totally, completely unblemished, is the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So that could make me feel better about that idea. B'tocho shlosh bechinos, shehem mekudin nekudin beberudim. But you're going to see inside of that, Ak is going to develop all of this, or maybe outside of Ak. Shachakudim heim oros aper ameiram ad tiber de'ak. V'chein av the sag the hindach of taamim tachtonim de nekudos. You got that idea? It's the bottom part of the av the sag. So the top part of Ag, which is the taamim, can be divided into three parts. The hindach of taamim and tachtonim the nekudos. So there's the three parts. The lowest part, that's the one we're talking about. Now what's nekudim? You haven't learned about this yet. Kodem Shaviras Akalim, before we get to a place which you haven't learned about yet either, which is called Shaviras Akalim. And where is this? This is Tzilus that he's talking about, is from the Tibor of Ak going downwards. So position, let's say that's the halfway part. And those nekudos that we're going to talk about in some detail are going to come out of the eyes of Sag, of Ak. Behind the nekudos there, the nekudos are nekudos. Sometimes it said nekudim and nekudim. It goes both ways. Uvarudim. Now, what's avrudim? Heim orsha yatzach min metzach ta'ak. This is a whole new concept that we haven't got in our back pocket yet. Bisman tikkun oris, at the time that the tikkun is going to take place. So he's really gone through a time sequence here a little bit. There was lights that came out of the eyes, and he explains it right here. They came out of the eyes and broke. And as a result of that's called the Shvira. And the Berudim are the tikkun, the formation of the tikkun, that is tikkun meaning what? To rebuild a system for the refining of light. And after the tikkun takes place, he has developed this a little bit more. I see. That's when it's called olam atzilus. So we're living in the olam of the tikkun, that is the atzilus aspect of our world. V'nikba berudim, it's called berudim. So that's that lashon. Tloyim, amechabrim, esakarayim.
Can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to go back down. I don't know exactly where we stopped. My mind turned off.
We're in
the right column.
We're talking at the Nikra Brudim is the Tikkun of the Olam Hatzilos.
So let's go up to the fourth line from the top. In the middle of it says, "V'nekudim hema oros yotzen derek anayim kodim shviras hakelim." So this is something that we're going to learn about coming up. V'om decha b'tibur da'ak, and where does this olam hatikun that we're talking about take place? It takes place by the tibur da'ak v'lamat, and going downwards v'ein bechinas sag the sag. The kind of nekudos the nekudos. Now, in regards to Berudim, heim oros sheyotzach abin metzak da'ak, and what do they do? Bisman tikun ha'oros sheyotzach derek anayim nishanishbro. So the lights that came out of the eyes are the lights of the nekudim, and they break. Now, after they're put back together again in a way that works the way that the Matzah wants, they're going to be called that.
Sorry, Rabbi, can you hold on a second? I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Thankful for whatever we can learn. That's it. Let's go back to the word of Berudim.
Yeah.
Heim oros sheyotzach min metzak da'ak bisman tikun oros sheyotzach derek anayim v'nishbru. So that's a process that we're going to learn about, as I said. And after the Tikun, this whole area, or this process, is called Atzilus, because now it's in a formation that actually can transfer light. V'nikra Berudim, why? V'hu meloshin toloyim, the patches of Mechavrim Esakaroyim, that patches are stitches that stitch the torn places together. That's that concept. What's going to go with Berudim, and we're going to see how that works, but we're missing a lot of language to be able to understand it. The that's really what it means. It takes this is what the world of Berudim is. It's a lineup of the pieces that are broken. And it brings back that which died into life. That's our Techiyas Amazing. This explains the passage. We said that before. It's an interesting idea. In other words, he's the product, the product after the Shvira, after the Nekudim, and after the Shvira. Now is going to come Yaakov, who's going to be represents the rebuilding, the actual flow of everything as that's going to go. I see your position. The Haina, what does Lavan mean? Bechinas Ag. Hanikra Lavan. He made these three different aspects, Akudim, Nekudim, Berudim, and from them, Pirusha, what does it mean? Bishvil Kadei Lecha'atzel Acharkach Olam Atzilus. All of this which is happening is for the purpose of creating this Atzilus. Now, so we have a little feeling for what's going on in Atzilus. We're going on to number Vav, and we have a few minutes still. Asher Nikra b'Shem Yaakov. Olam Atzilus Nikra b'Shem Yaakov. Yesh b'Zecha b'Kama taamim. Now, I personally don't remember reading this previously, so he has added up just for myself. He has added things into this. Generally speaking, he says Malchus. Malchus is called Yaakov. B'fnei shebeklalos. Nikra shebeklalos nikra Malchus b'shem Yaakov v'olam atzilus klape Akov who Malchus klape zer anpin. We're going to go over this because it's new to me. Klape zer anpin hamalvish mechazva the mata. That's according to the Shem and Sason. V'yesh od tam ifnei Yaakov cholid yud bei shvatim. That's a whole other story. V'olam atzilus kolo b'yud beis. Partsufim has 12 partsufim. Let's go over these words again because it's a little hard for me. Well, light print, Olam Atzilus, Nikra b'Shem Yaakov. I'll tell you where it got off for me. He just said that Yaakov is Atzilus, right? Then he's going to Yesh b'Zecha b'Kama taamim, and there's a lot of different reasons why he's called taamim, and he's going to give this reason here. As we're talking about the whole ball of wax, so to speak, Nikra Malchus b'Shem Yaakov. Malchus is called by the name Yaakov. Now, what is Malchus? So we haven't discussed it at all. Malchus is the concept of the recipient. It's the female aspect. Malchus is the ultimate giver because Malchus receives to give. That's like the mother. She receives the fermentation. What is the proper word? Is inseminated, produces a child, and gives to the child. The child goes on. This is a concept that's built into human beings as well. But this is a little bit off to me. He said so this is the metaphor. Ak hu kamalchus klape zer anpin. So what is ak? Ak is like the mother. Let's say the mother, or you want to take, say, the king, but let's call it the mother. Klape zer anpin, which in relationship to zer anpin, he says, what is what is malchus in relation to zer anpin? Zer anpin is malvish ak mechaza the mata. From this is a general rule that you have to know, and he threw it in here now. V'yesh od tam ifnei Yaakov holid yud bei shvatim. There's another reason, because Yaakov, Malchus is the mother, gives birth. So therefore, relatively speaking, this Etzilus, which is being prepared, is going to become like the Malchus of Ak, because from Ak, through this Etzilus, everything else will be created. I think that's best I could do as far at this moment. Yud Beis Shvatim, Olim Vatzilus, Klal, Mi Yud Beis Partzufim. So that's a whole other story. Now,
I mean, it sounds like a lot of new words that we didn't see most of yet.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, he just threw in a whole bunch of future stuff. Okay, we have enough time to do number Zion. Let's try to do number Zion. Okay. So at the top, he has an intro. Now, this is one thing that he added, but I noticed that at the end, because I'm learning with Harley at the end, in Shar, what's it called? Shar, I'm getting mixed up. Atik, called Shar Atik. It looks a lot like the original. He doesn't have this little intro blurb at the top. So let's see. But here we have it here. Well, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see it. Yisbar Tam Lama Hiskil Hakasav Rak Ma'olam Akudim. And wants to say, why does it start with Akudim? Well, Akudim, Nikudim, and Barudim. The Hiskil Ba'akudim. So let's see. I guess I'm reading number Zion. Maybe now I get through the whole thing. We'll see what we can do. The Hiskil Ba'akudim. So he begins with Akudim. Kehima Oros Yotzim in the Pashalak. Asher Bechem Hiskil Giloy Havayas Akalim. This is the first place. The Hiyos Sara Oros. There are going to be 10 different lights inside of these. Elu, Pipinimiums and Mekifim, Elu. They're going to be Pinimium and Mekifim, Muchubarim and Mukushim Yacha Bezoch Kli Echad. You're going to have 2 different types of light that funnel in, and this concept of funneling is a good concept to know something about, because we're going to see that later. And this is the reason why it's called the Kudim, Meloshin v'Yaakod as Yitzchak beno, this binding something together. Rotzalom, like I said, v'Yikshor, and he should tie it together. Commotion Ivor, but as Hashem, we're going to see this in the Kudim, in the shar called Nekudim, in the first parak. So as the Chorach hoye makel mahakshos b'fnei ma hiskira kasev oros hapeh. Why did the pasuk mention the lights of the mouth? For Hanayim bilvad, and the lights also of the eyes. Anikroyim akudim, nekudim, berudim. Why do we have the first one starts? I think he means with akudim. V'edach oras ha'ozen v'chahoitim ashaf sheyatzach ma'ak lo huskru b'pesukim. There's no pasuk for that. V'chayishad zecha b'chush shavatayra. So over there is only written the olamos that have kalim, because as he said that previously, that the kalim can be accessed. We don't know what's playing there. He said, but when you come to the lights of the mouth of Ak, Shesham Nischava Bechinas Kalim, and that's where you start to see the concept called Kalim. He called the Tam Shenikruch Akudim Mifnei Shahoros Kushurim Yachad Bekli Echad. That's what it wants to say. That's what happened. We have one Kli, and it's going to be Makasher, everything together. Gomosh and Emer, as it said, like Yaakov, as Yitzchak Beno, Shehul Lashon Kashira. So therefore, those are the only ones we talk about now. Also mentioning the Metzach, which has to do with the Barudim, Shagam bechem koy bechinas kalim, because also in these aspect of kalim. Now we can start from the number Zion again and get into a little bit. We're on
Yeah,
number
I'm
five.
gonna try to go over this maybe again tonight to try to get this all better. This last piece.
Yeah, so listen, if you have any questions, first you could call me, but you could also text me like you do, and I'll see if we can't work out whatever. Yeah, this is going to get a little bit more complicated. I'm going fast because I can go fast, but we could do it differently too. We do what we need to do. I find that when I'm learning these things, or learning anything really, if I get to a place where I have a kasha, does it make sense to me? Or it's not following me, I get lost. So therefore, the first time that you see something doesn't make sense to you, or you can't process it, you just stop and try to rework it, like we did with this last little piece. I see that he rewrote this, so it's basically the same thing. The Rav is the same, but he rewrote it. So if you have anything, let me know. You could send me a text, or you could talk to me privately anytime.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Call Tuf. Thank you.
Your time again.
Yeah, you too.
And I'll talk to you next week.
Okay, call Tuf.